Dr. Doug here with the KRV FM, the heart and soul of San Antonio. It's that time again. Today we don't have a guest, so you are stuck with me, and hopefully, it'll be worth your while, worth your time, everything that I have to say and share today. And we've talked about it several times. We're going to talk about goals, and we talked about the importance of goals and what goals are and how goals were created, their origin, and all those types of things. But it occurred to me that all of the knowledge in the world does not help someone become proficient at goal setting. So, goal setting is something that is not it's not organic. It's not something that you're born. It's not one of the things that we're born to do. It's not like some of the other things that we learn, like how to speak and how to walk and how to, I guess when you compare it to those kind of like things, you can say it is a learned behavior, an acquired behavior, but not everyone does it. And there are various reasons why people don't set goals, and we won't get into that. We're going to be more of a kind of like a take it more from a positive perspective. And today, what I want to talk about is now that you've decided I want to set goals. I'm going to 2020 comes. I want to set goals. So how can I do that and be successful? Because every someone about goals and their New Year's resolutions or whatever they may be, wedding vows, anything, they find them very hard to accomplish. And the reason that they are difficult to accomplish, it has to do more with, quite frankly, one's level of consciousness. So, so what we're gonna do is we're gonna talk about goals today. And the first thing we need to do when you're setting goals, don't. A lot of people saying, "I'm gonna quit doing this. I'm gonna quit doing that. I'm gonna do whatever," and they do it out of a sense of frustration. And yes, frustration and anger, if you read my article in the Observer, we talked about emotional quotient, emotional intelligence, and all those kind of things. And so, anger and frustration, those things are good to have, but you got to channel them in the right way. The same thing as those frustrations applies to goal setting. So, the first thing about goal setting, don't, uh, you know, have something happen that frustrates you and say, I'm going to set a goal and I'm going to not have that happen again, because that's not the right way to set to get started. Yeah, one of the things that's really critical to setting goals is your state of mind. First thing you have to do is you have to be clear, level headed. Whether you listen to music, whether you burn candles, whatever you do to relax yourself, you need to be relaxed. You need to be awake. You need to be conscious. You need to have your brain working on all cylinders. And so to do that, one of the things that I ask people to do is my clients, when it comes to setting goals, they need help in that area. I tell them to just kind of like sit down and not necessarily meditate. I'm not going that deep. I'm not a meditation type person. But one of the things I do ask people to do is just clear your mind of everything. Any frustrations, any baggage that you may have, try to clear it out of your mind. That's the first thing you do. And what you do after that is you can do it on a laptop, you can do it on a notebook, you can do it on pen and paper, whatever suits whatever floats your boat. First thing you do is think about 2019. Think about from January 1st all the way to December 21st or December 31st, whatever day you're starting this. And think about what you did well in 2019. All of the things that satisfied you, all the things that made you feel good, all the things that give you a sense of accomplishment. As many of them as you can think, write them down. And take a few minutes and reflect on each and every one of them. The things you did, wow, that was really cool. I was really surprised I was able to accomplish that, whatever that may be for you. And don't stop at 1, don't stop at 10. I mean, there is no right number. I've had people do it and they've come up with 30. Must have had a really good year. You had 30 memorable things that you thought were really good, but that's fine. If you had 30, you had 40, you had 50, you had 10. Whatever the number is, write those things down. Reflect on it. Reflect on how each accomplishment made you feel. That's the first step to setting goals. And think about that. Don't give it more than 15 minutes. Take a half an hour, take an hour, take a day. Just kind of reflect on it. Just kind of go through and just rehash how those things happen. And more importantly, how you felt when you accomplished those items, whatever those items may be. Secondly, whether this is half an hour later, or a day later, the thing you do is just pretend that, once again, just got to get your mind right and everything else, and just create what some people call a blue sky or a green field. If you're an artist, a blank canvas. And on that canvas, forget all the restraints that you have, all of the roadblocks, all of the hurdles, all of the encumbrances that you may have. Forget about all that. So pretend like none of those exist. And if you could do, be, achieve anything in the world, what would those things be? And jot them down. One at a time. Don't stop at 3. Don't stop. Keep thinking and get into the habit of brainstorming. Don't just settle for the first thing that comes to mind. Just keep going. Well, that would be nice. But what also would be nice would be, B. And what? In addition to A and B, C would be great too. And if I could get all 3 of those, right? And that D would help my family, whatever they may be. Okay, list those things. And then once you list those things, try to compartmentalize your life. So think about your own personal things that you have going on. Okay, so think about personal. Think about your family. That's number 2, personal family. Number 3, think about spirituality, whatever that may be. It doesn't mean that you have to go to a church, but there is some people who experience some form of spirituality, whatever that may be. Some people meditate, some people do yoga, some people go to church, whatever it may be. Think about this spirituality. Talk about family, talk about personal. Social would be another one to come up with. So we got family, spirituality, we got social, we have so you compartmentalize that. So I think you should come up with like 5 of these things. So and maybe the other one would be let's just say we got social, we got family, we got let's start with those. We'll just start with those right now. So you know what? Health. We need health. We need one for health. So we definitely need one for health. So health will be number 5. So once you get those and you figure out what they do, what they are, those categories I just gave you. And next week I'm gonna put all this on Facebook, and I'm gonna make it available for everybody. Put it on my website. Put it in places where you'll be able to go and use these tools to try and have an effective goal setting in your life. So once you get that done, take those items that you listed, from your blank canvas, and where in your life would they fit? And whether is it a financial goal? Is it a financial wish? Or is it a personal wish? Is it a health list? Is it a spiritual list? Or is it a family list? One of those 5 things. Try to fit it in there, one of those, okay? And once you do those things, you should have 3, 4, 5 things listed under each of those 5 categories. Now, why is that important? Because first of all, if you really, if you're going to do goal setting, it's kind of like surgery. You really have to sit down and you have to be very deliberate with it. So you start with how you felt about the good things from last year. You get down to, okay, my blank canvas, here are the things that really, really excite me. So then once you put those things into the 5 categories we just discussed, what you need to do then is try to prioritize them. And when I say prioritize them, what I mean is, okay, if you accomplish this one under financial, what would that do for you? What would that do for your situation? And how important is that to you? Same thing in each of them. So, and then you go 1 through 5, 1 through 3, 1 through whatever in each category. So once you do that, now you have a number 1 and you have 5 number 1s. Okay, pick one of those 5 number 1s. Pick whatever it may be. It may be health, it might be weight loss. Spirituality, it might be going to church, learning yoga. Socially, it might be contribute to a political campaign, join a fraternity or sorority, whatever it may be. So, put those in order. And once you do that, Now here comes the tricky part, and this is the tool that I'm going to give you next week. Then once you have them, you have to sit down and think about, okay, here is this goal. Now, what do you need to do? What needs to happen in order to make that goal successful? You got them. You just picked one. We only started with one. We're doing one at a time. We're not doing multiple things one at a time. So in that list of things that need to be successful. So if you're picking, and let's pick one. Let's okay. If you're picking, I'll pick weight loss. Let's pick weight loss. So we're going to pick weight loss. What things do you need to do to make weight loss? First, okay, like if you follow the SMART goal thing, it's gonna be, specific. It's got to be measurable. Got to be because typically what you've got right now, you've got something that you'd like to have happen, but it's not really a goal. It's a thing that it's a blue sky, blank canvas item that you want to happen because you think it would enhance your life in some capacity. So what we have to do is we have to take those things and then turn them into a goal. And how you do that is that's why I have you pick one at a time, because now in order to lose weight, you might need to join a health club. You might need to change your diet. You might need to change something in your social life. There might be certain things, if you're in a call center and they always have a smorgasbord, everybody bring your favorite dish Fridays, as every Friday. And so you sit in the chair all day, and there's all kinds of things that you're gonna have to list, whatever those things may be. So you list those things that you need to have happen in order to successfully lose weight. And so when we think about the whole thing about losing weight, now about specific, how much weight do you want to lose? Okay, you want to lose 10 pounds, 20 pounds, 5 pounds, whatever it may be, whatever works for you. Pick the weight, and then okay. So now then what we do is how are we going to measure that? So you're going to weigh yourself every other week, once a month. And is it actionable? Is it something you can actually do? Do you have a scale? So you see how complicated this gets, and this is why people don't achieve their goals, because you got to sit down and you got to really, really, really flesh through the entire process. It's not as simple as saying I want to lose weight. People who just use I'm going to quit smoking, or I'm going to this, or I'm going to that. People who start the year out with those types of quote unquote goals, those really aren't goals, like you said, they're not going to be successful. They're just not. Okay. So now you list these things. What are these things are, that, you want to lose weight. So, you got to get a scale. You have to, maybe join a health club. You have to eat differently at work. You have to eat earlier during the day. You have to, whatever those things are. So you list those things. So now, what do you need to overcome each of those items? So if it's scale, okay, let's say you got all kinds of scales. They got scales that are friggin' $10. They got scales that are $300. So what kind of scale do you need, and how much does it cost, and where are you going to get it from, and when are you going to do it? So so already we're just at one, and you see how big of a deal each of these items can be. So okay, so the scale is, we'll pick the middle, $150. I'm sure that's a lot for a scale. People who buy scales are probably falling off their chairs right now. But $150 for a scale. That scale is I could weigh up to 500 pounds. It'll weigh up to 500 pounds. It's a digital scale. It's calibrated. It's all this other kind of things. Okay, so we got that. We got the scale. And then, so once you got the scale, once you figure the scale out, then you're like, okay, it's $150. Now, do you have, what is taking $150 out of your budget going to do? Do you have $150 this week that you can do it right now? Is it something that, your budget is pretty tight, you got a big family, you got school bills, you got all kinds of other things, and $150 would make a big difference, and it might cause you to sacrifice in another area. So if that's the case, and what are you going to do? Well, I have to save $25 a week for 6 weeks to get $150 to buy the scale. Well, that's what you have to do. Now we've got to figure out what does it take to save $25 a week for 6 weeks so that you have enough money so you can get the scale. And once you figure that out, okay, let's assume, let's not go into that level of detail. But you see where I'm going with this. Each one of those things, what you have to do is you have to identify them. You have to figure out what it takes to make those things happen. You have to write them down, and you have to actually make those things happen. So now, sometimes you might come to an item, and it might require more than someone outside of you. Someone else, might require a family, might require a wife to help you with it, might require a coworker. Hey, you know what? We got to change the diet for Friday Food Fun Day. We can't have, all fried food and chips and all that kind of stuff. We have to have something that's more dietary friendly, whatever. And so it might require talking to another person. And so but list that person's name down, list down what you need that person to do, and that's what you do. So already we started with this thing. And you need this, and don't worry about all the other things, because we'll get to all the other things later. But what has to happen is you have to start somewhere. You pick one that's the most important to you, the one that's going to give you the biggest bang for your buck. You flesh that out. What does it take to make that happen? And when is it going to happen? And then who's responsible for making it happen with you if there's another person that needs to be responsible? And you need to have all of this, and I've got some sheets I designed, so you have to have all of these things written down. Okay? Boom. And then what you know, it looks really, really pretty. You should actually put them on a calendar, an electronic calendar. Every day I need to get up and I need to walk. I need to, every Friday when we have food day, I can only have salad. I'm saving this week. The $25 I'm getting is I'm cutting back on going out to the club. I'm going to buy, three less packs of cigarettes. I'm going to, whatever it is going to be, whatever it is going to do to make it happen. You have to list that. Say that $25. I mean, where are you going to put the $25? You can't put it in a regular account because you probably, like everybody else, you go to the money machine, the ATM to take money out, and you don't really keep a ledger. You're just kind of like, oh my God, that makes sense. I don't have any more money. Oh, well, how did that happen? It happens to all of us. It happens to me. It happens to all of us. So, everything in life is not automatic. And when things don't go well for you, they typically don't go well because we weren't deliberate. You have to be deliberate. So once again, so you got the thing. You have the canvas. You painted a picture on the canvas. On that picture, you have all these things that you want to do. If everything life was even, you were starting all over again. Here are the things I want to become. Here are the things I want to do. Here are the things I want to accomplish. Listen to all those things. You put those in the 5 categories. Remember we talked about the personal, family, spiritual, health, and financial. We talked about those 5 things. So you've got the things that off your blank canvas. You've got those into those categories. You prioritize those. You found out which ones were the most important, which ones are going to get the biggest bang for your buck. So you have at least 5 number ones, 5 number twos, might be 5 number threes, might be 3 number fours, 2 number fives, and 1 number six, or something like that. Typically it goes like that. They're not equal all the way through. So I got those listed. Now you pick one. The one we picked was out of personal was like losing weight. So how do we lose weight? Okay, so I want to lose weight this year. How much weight do you want to lose? I want to lose 20 pounds. Okay, how are you going to lose 20 pounds? What do you need to make that happen? Well, I got to join a gym. I need a scale. I need what all the things I need to change my diet on Fridays at work in the call center. I can't have smorgasbord anymore, eat fried chicken and potato salad. I got to have more of a diet-friendly thing. I got to have salad, without romaine lettuce. That's poor romaine lettuce. It's always getting a tough hit there that, you're not supposed to eat it again. And I love romaine lettuce, but every time something happens, it seems to be with romaine lettuce. I don't know what that means, but anyway, I digress. So, you list all those kind of things out, and all those things make it happen. If there's somebody else that you need to incorporate in there, you need to list their names down. You need to list their phone number, their email address, let them know, hey, I'm setting a goal, and you are instrumental in me accomplishing this goal because of your role in my life in this capacity. You tell them that. And so, instead of bringing fried chicken every Friday, I need to have at least, you can bring fried chicken every Saturday, but I can no longer eat that if I'm going to make my goal. And it'd be great if we had salad in there, or we had something with less calories, or something more nutritional, or whatever you want to do. So, the person that's in charge of the food, you need to list that person. That person's a contributor to you achieving that goal. You got to write their name down. So this entire step, what you're going to have is like a map. It's going to be several pages long, and it's going to have, your activity for 2020 listed. You're going to have it listed just like, when you go on your Google Maps or whatever kind of map app that you have, and you want to say, I want to go to North Star Mall from your present location. Well, it gives you a step by step readout on how to get there. And if you have a voice activated phone, it'll even talk to you and tell you where to turn and how far you have to go. Well, that's what this is like. That's what this whole goal, and I call them goal planning sheets, is the term that I use. So, or goal activation sheets. I forget which one, but anyway, I'll talk to people who help me market this stuff. But so you've got this laid out, and you've got this whole thing kind of like from every angle. So now you're ready to go, right? Ready to go. Okay, so one more step, and that is to each one of those items, what could prevent you from successfully being successful in that one little specific area? Like, what happens if you don't, you save $25 6 weeks in a row, so that 6 weeks from now you have the $150 to buy the scale, so that you can. So now we can actually, get into my daily measuring myself and how I'm doing. Well, what happens if you have to go to the emergency room one week, and the $25 is your copay, so that week you can't put the $25 in there? What happens then? Well, and so that example I just gave is the biggest derailer of people who are on a goal setting track. Some obstacle occurs, something that was not planned for, that throws their life into such a hither that people just give up. They just quit. So typically by February, everyone has given up on their New Year's resolution, because it's like, it's just not going to happen. I'm not going to quit smoking. I'm not going to lose weight, because none of the things I wanted to have happen. But okay. Well, if you kind of follow my little roadmap here that we're on, under the first one, it says I need to get a scale, and we're going to save $25 a week. So, okay, what obstacles could be coming away? So let's say some personal thing happens that one week prevents me from saving the $25, whatever it may be. Maybe a health issue, might be a whatever. It could be an accident, could be a requirement to, you could be a traffic ticket, could be anything. So you have to list what would happen if one week I don't save the $25. Well, the simple thing is saying, well, I'll just go a seventh week. Well, then now you're procrastinating everything else. So, now it's 7 weeks becomes 10 weeks, becomes 14 weeks, becomes 5 months. So, no, what you have to do is, okay, if that happens, then what I need to do is I need to, maybe I need to set aside $50 a week. And if something does happen, I have a reserve. But saving $50 a week is still kind of challenging, because that means now you're going to have to cut back more things during the week. But at least if there's an obstacle in there, you've already thought about, okay, if something happens and I need to use this $25 for an emergency, that's going to throw me off of my goal. So now I got to back to the beginning. So maybe it's not $25 I need to save every week. Maybe it's 50. And if 50 something happens, at least I built a little bit of a cushion that can help any obstacles that occur that might require financial resources, because I've been saving them. So I still have my 25 that I need to get my scale, and I've got a little stash, if you will, that I can use in the case of emergency. That's how you set goals. Sounded really, really complicated. I try to oversimplify it, but that's the way a goal should be set. That way, if there's an obstacle that comes, you're not thrown back. You're not trying to figure, oh my God, what am I going to do? How am I going to overcome this? Because you've already made provisions for it. That's how you set goals. It's not, once again, for the faint of heart. It's not easy. It can be done, but it requires level head, requires consciousness, requires determination. All of those things are required if you're going to be effective at achieving goals. They can be done. It's just a matter of consciousness. The average person, I was reading something here today, and I think it came from Psychology Today. The average person wastes 2 hours and 20 minutes per day doing nothing. I was sitting next to a person the other day, and they just seemed to be bewildered, or befuddled, or something. And I said, "What's on your mind? What are you doing?" "Nothing." "What are you thinking about?" "Nothing." "Really?" "Yeah, really. I just think about nothing." So you're just like sitting there, just consuming air and just like not doing anything. Yeah. And people do that. And I don't know. I mean, maybe that's some kind of I don't know if it's meditating. I don't know what it is. I don't know if it's good. I don't know if it's bad. I can't think of a moment during the day when I'm not thinking of something. So that's just me. But I was kind of really surprised. The person said nothing. Well, according to Psychology Today, 2 hours and 20 minutes a day the average person wastes. When you think about that, that's a lot of time. It's a lot of time. It's 10 hours, 14 hours a week, more than 14 hours a week. that that you don't get back. Once that time is gone, you don't get it back. So the other thing that we're going to talk about after next week, and I bring the tools, show you what the tools look like, show you what the goal sheets look like, so to speak. Got those in place and everything else, and how you kind of go through this, and and I'll make the copies to you for free. Not going to cost you anything or anything like that. Just tell them, hey, that's the Dr. Doug goal setting philosophy, or tool, and just let them know that, Otherwise than that, just brand it yourself, whatever you want to do, because I want to see people become more goal oriented and more successful and more achievement oriented. Because if you do this the right way, the world is your oyster. You can accomplish anything. You can improve your financial situation. You can improve your appearance. You can improve your health. You can improve your family relationships. You can improve, you name it, you can improve it. But the reason people don't do goals well is because they don't write them down. They think, I got it in my head. I'm gonna lose weight. All right, it's in my head. Well, that doesn't work. It doesn't work because pretty soon you got too much cloudy stuff in your consciousness. You can't think of anything. So that's just my thing. So Dr. Doug here with you, KORV-FM, the Heart and Soul of San Antonio. So that was my lunch and learn. It's kind of like an oversimplified one, but I needed to do that to set the stage because this goal setting thing, I'm going to carry this all through 2020. I'm going to talk once a month, talk about goals. And I want to see where people are. I'm going to let you know where I am, and maybe we can do this as a team. We can kind of work together and see how things. And I'll let people know where I am on my goals. You can let me know where you are in your goals. We can kind of start a little chat thing and get a Twitter thing going on. But let's make this year the year of goal achievement. Just like just like anything, if you're working hard enough, you become really, really good at it. I think that as far as a human being goes, the most important thing that you can do in your life for your family is setting goals. And so, if that's the most important thing that you can do, other than staying alive and your safety and security, those bottom line Maslow's hierarchy of need pyramid things. I mean, we're not talking about down in the survival mode where you're looking, you got to figure out where you're going to eat your next meal and all those. I mean, then obviously, goal setting takes on a whole different parameter when you're down in survival mode. You can't think of all those other things. You can't paint on a blank canvas because you got to figure out what you're going to eat tomorrow. So that's a whole different perspective. So, but I'm talking about people that are like marginally secure, and you've got resources that you can depend on a monthly, weekly, bi-weekly basis to come in to help sustain you, and so that you don't have any of those kind of like really, really tragic things going on in your life. If you do, that's a whole different story. I can help you with those too, but that's not for the masses. You have to contact me and I can work something out. Get on your calendar. But anyway, Dr. Doug here with the KORV-FM, the Heart and Soul, San Antonio. Today has been our Lunch and Learn. We're discussing the intricacies of goal setting. If it were easy, anyone would do it. Everyone would do it. And so thanks for listening today. Hey, Tim, I see you out there. Thanks for listening today. And I will see you next week. Merry Christmas, Happy Hanukkah, Happy Kwanzaa, and all of those things put together. You guys have been great. I appreciate you hanging out with me today and always hanging out with me. Dr. Doug checking out. A little bit of Earth, Wind, and Fire coming up right now.